everyone to the Winning Together podcast. My name is Shay. I'm going to go with the shark Aslett today. It's good to be here with you. This podcast and finding ways to win together through recovery in life, in relationships, that's what we're about here. And I am delighted to have with me again this week the beautiful British Knight. How are you?
I'm doing well. I will tell you, I'm German, not British.
I didn't know that.
I thought I'd bring that up, but it doesn't matter.
I will figure out a name that is German, more German. Okay?
Okay.
All right, Fraulein, let's go. Let's get going. How this works is our topic today is going to be around codependency and the kind of that time when you extricate yourself from an old, unhealthy way of being and start creating or foster or fight for a new way of being in a healthy way and showing up in a healthy way in relationships. And just so you know, in recovery, there's some confidentiality. So, BK, I don't want to know your drug of choice. I don't want to know all the life experiences that got you here, except the ones that you're pulling lessons from and learning and growing from. And I think that's valuable. You're a wonderful woman. You are a working woman. You are a mother. And I'm really grateful that you're here today sharing some of your gifts and talents.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, you're a giver. You got a lot of bright kind of energy coming from you today, so it'll come through as we're talking. So in our groups this week, as we've been working with clients, we've kind of had a theme which is around codependency, and we were talking a little bit in preparation for our podcast of how that's been showing up for you. What are some of the ways you've grown in that? And let's just kind of go in that way. When you think of that area of your life, what's some big breakthroughs you've had in going from codependent or showing up codependent in certain ways and moving to a healthier, happier, stronger British Knight?
Well, from the beginning, since my first relationship, I can always remember being the caregiver, the giver. And
it's one of your gifts.
Yes. But to a point, I think that people take advantage of it. And if someone doesn't show appreciation or just show any kind of gratitude, it's probably not a good thing to continue.
How would we define codependency? We'll just use a working definition. I can pull out the dictionary, but what's a working definition for codependency?
I think that someone who, I guess.
It's amazing how sometimes we're so close to things, and we get it, we understand it, and I should be putting the clinician on the spot, but he's not here today. What are some ways it's been shown up for you?
Well, before I went to recovery, I never cared about myself and what I wanted. It was always about what the other person wanted, and I think that is a codependency trait.
Yeah, when it starts putting you into an unhealthy spot, or relationships are about reciprocity. And if it's give with no circling back of energy or appreciation or validation or investment, that one-way street is not, that's a sign of being codependent, sure.
Yeah, and it definitely leads to an unhappy road. And
definitely an empty one too.
Yes. Yeah. I think that everyone gets tired of it, if they're in that kind of relationship. Some sooner than others, some too late. And I think that everyone just has their time. Like everyone reaches a limit. It's just a matter of when. I've always lived a codependent life, and I've always been a giver up until I went to recovery. And for the first little bit, I was still in a relationship where every choice, my whole life revolved around this person. And my recovery went from a 30-day treatment to I think I should stay longer for me.
Right, and you were telling me that, so this relationship, it was not available. You decided that I want something different. The way to do it is I'm going to go into a full-time recovery option. And you were planning on doing 30 days. And that would have been you available and the other person available to reconnect. And as it came closer, what came up for you was you needed to stay longer.
Yeah. I realized the only reason I was trying to get out so early, even if I wasn't ready, was for this person. And that's not how it should be. If you're going to get into recovery, you should do it 100%. And I wasn't. I was only half in because the other half belonged to someone who wasn't even there. So
that's a big realization, aha moment. It's a little horrifying to see how much you've been giving and how they're not there. They're not there when you need them. When it's time, they're not there.
Yeah.
What did that surrendering feel like? That you need to stay longer? Because I'm assuming you got some flack. That relationship probably was trying to suck you back in or try to give you a hard time or shame you for doing it, for hurting them because you wanted to stay in treatment longer.
It's unfortunate because I didn't really get any push from them because they already knew that my plans would revolve around them. So they didn't need to say anything. They already knew. But what they didn't know is the longer I stayed there, the more I realized I deserved, for me to be better.
Yeah. What are some areas that you started loving yourself back and seeing that you had not honored yourself in?
Just all my decision making. It was never about me. It was always what does this person want me to do? How does this person feel? And I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. And I finally brought it up to someone, knowing that when I brought it up to this person, because they were clinical, if I brought it up to this person, they would probably say that I'm making the wrong decision and that I needed to stay. So I knew that once I did, it was I can't change my mind if I do this. And one day I sat down and I talked to the clinical and I said, this is the only reason that I wanted to stay 30, so that I would be out for this person. And I shouldn't do that. So let's commit to 60 days for myself.
You were bringing up the V word, vulnerability.
Yes.
And in that moment, you allowed yourself to be vulnerable. And you chose to be your own hero. That was a big pivotal turning point, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's funny. It's not even funny. It's just crazy the things that we hide so that other people don't judge or try and influence us to just have negativity or just be biased, I guess. It's crazy the things that we hide in our lives so that people don't know and make their own decision and judge.
So are you talking about like people close to you, or the other part of the relationship that we're talking about, or friendship, or?
I'm just talking about people close to you, like in a wide like general.
And what you want them to see or don't want to see, or
Yes.
what
Yeah.
you think they think that you think about them, or that they think about you.
Yeah. Like I don't want them to know this because then they won't like this person, and then I won't be able to bring this person around. You know.
Awful.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
Yes. But and it's definitely that is vulnerability to finally come out and say this is what's happening. You guys may not like this person now, but this is what I'm hiding. Like this is what I've been holding in. Like it's probably time to get it out.
And you're talking about you yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's important. That you this part of you and managing those things that you think that people want to see or feel, experience, and I know that part where you surrender and here's me, here's all of me, and I found, at least for me, there's a lot of tears and suffering and letting go of what is not gonna be, what isn't, and what never will be, so that I can create something new with who I'm becoming.
Yeah.
What'd you do with the broken pieces of you? Did you find new ones? Did you put it back together?
In which situation?
So the next 30 days, you stayed longer.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably uncomfortable, or part of you was like, what are you doing? I can't believe you're talking to them. We gotta get out. And then you're like, no, I'm staying. And if you were willing to confront whatever was coming up for you, there's treasure there. So what are some of those things that made it worthwhile to stay there longer, that have been now tools or ways of beliefs or attitudes that are affecting and influencing you now?
I think that the teams that I am and my last treatment center have are, they just, excuse my language, but they know their shit. Like you guys know like what you're doing, and a lot of people can like say this is what you need to work on, this is what to work on, but if you don't know where it stems from, like where it comes from, then you're not really learning anything. And so if you, like me, if you're like 100% open to like feedback, criticism, then there's a lot that you can learn about like yourself. And if it comes from a place of love, like how you guys are with your clients, then it's a lot easier to open up.
But I just want to notice you for this too. You're not as able to see it coming from a loving way from somebody else unless you're filling up your cup and you're loving you. Because when you love you, you're able to say like, oh, that person's saying that, they're on my team, and it feels like it's mean, or it's hurtful, I'm getting triggered or whatever. But when you love you, like you're doing and practicing, then you're able to see, oh, I see love in there, and they want me to grow, or they're seeing something I can't, or yep, they're right, I need to do that better.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You just said it, like seeing something that you can't. I know how I am, and I know what people have told me, and sometimes that like sticks with you, and so you continue to say like, I'm this way, I'm angry, and sometimes that's not even it.
Right? That's sometimes not even your anger, or it's situational, or you don't even know why you're angry, but there it is, showing up in your life and getting in the way.
Yeah.
So I was asking you also, part of letting go of codependent, and not even attracting that anymore, is becoming healthy and happy. So what are some of the healthy and happy, attitudes or beliefs or habits that you've now made a part of who the BK is now?
I definitely am doing my program, and it makes it easier to like be consistent with it. When you start slacking, it just becomes easier to do so. And I'm
Oh, you let that smile out. It comes through.
yeah, I'm just doing things for myself. Like I'm trying not to worry about the negativity that people can sometimes bring, and I found myself in a possibility of how do I say this without saying it? Just being in a different position where I can help people. Let's just say that.
Sure.
And that definitely motivates me. It's a lot easier to.
It's the leader in you. That,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. As I want to progress so that I could possibly look forward to like the opportunities that may come. It makes me work harder. And it's all about me being here.
How are you navigating? So there's being aware of being healthy, and that you have to do things that fill you up. And sometimes you can do it with people, sometimes you have to take time or energy or resources away so you can do things that are important for you. And so how do you make a distinction between being selfish? Because sometimes in codependency, we will say, I don't have time or can't take time for myself. It's selfish versus it's necessary. It's what I do, how I stay healthy, so that I have more to give to the people that are important to me.
I think that being in recovery right now should be selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing in recovery, because that's it. I mean, being in recovery is about yourself. Like if you're not doing it for yourself, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I don't think that it will get very far.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if I feel like I'm in a good place and I'm doing what I need to do and what I am supposed to do, and I'm happy with the decisions I'm making, then I can like spread the service around. But if I'm stretching myself too thin, like with my job and the things that are making me happy and like being there for someone else, then I should probably cut something like out of there. And if it's priorities like my job and my recovery, it should probably be the other person at the moment, or whatever it is that I'm not doing to benefit myself.
Does perfectionism come up for you sometimes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah. So it's really a rubric that is so ruthless, because if the standard is perfection, and it's supposed to be perfect all the time in all things, then wow.
It makes it hard.
It makes it impossible, yeah.
Yeah.
And we set ourselves up to be in a place where we're like, I love what you just said. Hey, here's a crazy idea. Think thoughts and do things that make you happy. And if you're happy, guess what you want to do? Help other people around you be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. It feels good to feel good. And there's this area that, yes, recovery is about, is for you, but it's not about you. Sometimes you're good, and so you come into a group and you see that you can give. Sometimes you need to go and I need to take. And I think a lot of people miss that if you're not actively participating, you can give. Like give. And when you're giving your gifts and talents, you get what you're looking for, the insights you need, the feedback, the growth, the opportunities. And it's a skill. it's a practice for sure.
Yeah. I read this quote that said, progress, not perfection.
Mm-hmm. Is that one of those BS quotes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. That's probably another part that's really, really important to you is being honoring what you think. Like, I want to believe that, but I don't believe it all the way. And allowing yourself some space, some grace in that vulnerability. Yeah, I think it's mostly weakness, but I also see that it brings a lot of goodness and there's opportunity there. So I'll be open to it and kind of be easy towards your life and easy towards your recovery and be easy to love and easy to work with.
Yeah. I've always tried doing the perfection part, but this isn't, you don't have to be perfect being here. You just gotta make progress. And I know that when I have struggles here, as long as I'm working on myself, then I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the struggles don't seem so deep. They don't seem so so loaded. You're like, oh, okay, I see you. And since you have a practice or are practicing loving the BK and loving the BK and loving the BK and loving her, yep, and loving her and love, more love, you're able to pick it up.
Yeah.
Tell me, so I want to notice families for a minute. So a lot of times we would pick up the codependency, attitudes, behaviors, the way we see relationships from our family. So alcoholism runs in my family, so codependence is like a fish to water. It's how I would make sense of a relationship. So as my family, and my parents and I, we've extricated that, and my brothers and sisters did a good job of like parting ways with that. I want to notice families who are healthy and happy and what they teach their kids. That's great. I also want to notice people who are leaving that system and that way of being to be healthy and going through all the shaming, or you're not with the family anymore, or the partner, or they're in the boyfriend or the girlfriend that now is getting really messy because you're not playing the codependency game anymore. You're doing healthy and happy. As you move forward, how are you attracting happy and healthy relationships, interactions, engagements?
I mean, I didn't learn to take care of people from my family personally. My dad has always worked very hard, and my mom works now. She was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and my stepdad, he made very good money. So she didn't need to work. And I think that I just grew into it. Like I liked helping people. And so I started by doing a little bit, and doing a little bit for so long, I just started doing a little bit to all of it. And now just working on myself, I think that people kind of they just, I don't know, they come to me. It just makes people come to me more. And I feel like people just, there's a word that I'm thinking of, but I can't think of it.
It'll come.
I want to keep saying they just flock to me, but that's not the word I'm thinking of.
So is it like magnetism? They're attracted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it, as long as I work on myself, people know that, like, they can come to me because how I'm doing with myself. Like,
I've got to point this out while I'm thinking about it. I don't want to lose it. One of the things you brought up, I think it was last week, was going into a full-time recovery program. You really wanted people to like you there. And it was important to you that how you showed up was somebody who's likable and valued the more you've let that go and love the BK for who she is and where she is and as she is and where she's going, and let that go, the more people have wanted to be around you.
Yeah.
And like you for who you are, where you're at.
Yeah. Someone told me just recently, a lot of people that come into treatment, they put on a show.
Yeah.
Like it's
See, I'm great at treatment.
Yeah, the puppy love of a relationship. Like everything's good in the beginning, and then you see who they are. I was told recently that I've always been genuine. Yeah, I wanted people to like me, only because I've always had problems with people, like girls specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not that I wanted them to like me. I just specifically didn't think that I would get along with them.
Mm.
So, but I was genuine from the start, and I had begun to work on myself in the beginning already from coming from where I did, but I've definitely progressed since being here.
Ooh, yeah. way to like take the work on and do your hard.
Yeah.
You chose it, and then when you choose it, it doesn't seem like such a intimidator. You're able to say like, oh, I see you're here to teach me, I can learn, I want to go, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring it on home. Tell me a little bit about how resentment builds up in codependent relationships and how you've confronted that. Because we're talking about examples. I give you a back rub. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we're going on 66 of them in a row for a month and a half, and I haven't gotten one back, or you haven't even mentioned it. Ooh, that smolders resentment. That's not. At one point, you were okay with that. Now, no mas.
I think that some people have resentment for some things like that. Other people just get used to it. And so there's no resentment there. They just, I guess it could be shame.
Do you think they die a little bit?
Yeah.
While they're still alive?
Like, yeah. You get tired of asking. Eventually you already know the answer if there's going to be one. And so you just give up on it.
Yeah, codependency is a parasitic relationship, doesn't it? You have to die a little bit for it to live a little bit.
Yeah, and like there would be some times that I would think like maybe I should ask, but then the other half of my brain would think, how dare I even ask? Like I'm not going to ask.
Shame.
Yeah.
That's not cool to not feel freedom to ask for what you want in a relationship.
And then it's not really even resentment. It's just fear, I guess. So, and like I would feel guilty for even asking. Like that's not, you shouldn't have to do that.
Amen. And if you're feeling that and seeing that, call the folks at I Am Recovery. They're the ones who sponsor this podcast, and you and I are products of the program. I function as a coach, you function as a leader here, and our functions are what we're doing. If you're feeling that or experiencing that, and you want to be different, and you want to be alive in your life while you're still alive, recover. Call them over there at I Am Recovery, 801-407-9998, or at imrtc.com. I'm going to bring it home to Shay, the Shark Aslett, the coach, with my beautiful guest, the BK, British Knight. We'll come up with a different one next week.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time and giving your gifts and talents. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day. Reach out if you need to.
Love it. Cheers.